Back to salad. You see pretty eyes, baby girl. You see pretty eyes. Yeah, no. She got David Bowie eyes. It's a really cool girl. I hope you're having a blessed day. Sending you peace. Surrounding you with love, protection, your family. Anything you got going on, I hope that you remember that God is with you, and that you can turn to God and ask for help in any situation, every situation, always. God is ever faithful. This is kind of a quiet morning. Like a few days actually. I was expecting a lot more energy in this Leo full moon, and instead my whole energy has been so internal, man, so internally focused the past few days. I did a little more ritual and prayer last night. I know it's after the full moon, but it was looking really, really fat and juicy here at the end. You know, it kind of goes for like 2 or 3 days. And the way it was last night, throughout the evening, and then when I woke up to go to the bathroom at like 3 or 4 or something, and it was on the other horizon, going towards the other horizon. The sun was thinking about starting to come up, and it was still just like so lit, so beautiful. So beautiful. Just a little tiny hint of like golden orange. The tiniest hint. But yeah, I was a lot more internal during this little cycle than I was expecting to be. You know, being a Leo and everything, and I think what got to me, and you know, this has been ongoing for a few months and for a few years and for my whole life, but especially these past couple months, just processing stuff even from this past year, and from the last new moon. The new moon is usually six months, you know, and kind of in the opposite sign from when we have the full moon. So with Leo, you go fetch. She doesn't usually fetch that much. It's Leo and Aquarius. So the new moon was in Leo I think in July of last year. And you can think about it, you know, the way the energy works, in my understanding is that the new moon is a good time to plant the seed of what you want in that sign, or you know, where that sign is at in your house, or just within the context of larger events, life events, evolution, world events. But especially where it sits in your astrological house, and where it's at, like in the chart during that year, in relation to the other planets and stuff. But the new moon is good for planting seeds, and when you look at almanacs too, like the almanacs and you know, earth-based wisdom and traditions, a lot of these things hold true. You know, it's where so much of our deeper wisdom comes from. That's almost completely absent from Western culture and a lot of the world in this day. But new moon is really good for planting seeds, and full moon's more for harvesting. And so I think what's been up for me especially is, you know, reflecting and doing a lot of my, you know, a lot of healing work and stuff along those lines already. I've been pretty deep in it since October of last year, in Libra season, justice. You know, I have a lot of Libra in my chart too, but just thinking about what was going on in June and July of last year, and I have my Jupiter is in Cancer, and my Black Moon Lilith as well in Cancer in the 12th house, so we've got a lot of Piscean themes coming up. You know, a lot of these things having to do with love and unconditional love, and just basically a lot of the stuff that Jesus taught. He was a Pisces and kicked off the age of Pisces with his life and death. But there's a shadow side to Pisces as well, and it's around illusion and deception and lying, and oftentimes patterns with addiction, which has been a part of my life for sure. I've been in recovery for quite a while now, but the subtle things can still affect us, you know. Years later, decades later, it's easy to get in this place of thinking that we're so fully healed that we don't need to give as much attention to certain things, and just we got to be on guard, you know, and no, I don't think we need to live constantly on high alert like we do when we have trauma and PTSD, you know, which is also something that I'm dealing with in the midst of all this. It's like it's just layers. It's layers of stuff coming up. But anyways, my Jupiter is in Cancer in the 12th house. I have a lot of really, really intense water themes in my life as well, including my family dynamics. I have Scorpio in the 4th house, which is family, which is Cancer, which is, you know, ruled by the moon. So the moon and the water and Scorpio and Cancer, especially, and Pisces to an extent, are like major themes in my life. Even though I have a lot of fire and air and a fair bit of earth as well, balancing things out. But this past season, as we're closing out, Neptune and Saturn both in Pisces, and Saturn being father time and related to Capricorn and the work that we do here on the earth, is just asking me to dive really, really deep, especially as I'm, you know, starting to share around more of this stuff. It's like look at the details, you know, look at the details of fine-tooth comb and see what you've really processed and let go of and healed, and what things are still there. You know, for me, it's like there's stuff that's there that's affecting me without me noticing in some cases, because they're so subtle. The 12th house in Pisces is so subtle. Cancer and Scorpio can be so freaking subtle that it's underneath the surface, but it's, you know, water affects everything. The moon affects everything powerfully in human life. And so yeah, I've been in a really deep place this Leo full moon cycle, and looking at the places in my life where, specifically in June and July of last year, there were shifts that I was ready to make, and messages that I got from people saying, hey, it's time to shift this thing, you know. And in my life, it's a lot of these things are pretty subtle at this point. It's not like when I was out in my active addiction and, you know, blasting through walls at 100 miles an hour every week, so to speak, and literally sometimes. But and that's part of it. For me, that's part of why these fine-tooth comb things can be a little bit of tricky issues for me, because I'm used to dealing with such catastrophic shit, and in other arenas of my life, in terms of other people and relationships and, you know, life situations that I'm in, like it is still at that level. It's stuff that's so freaking obvious to me, at least. But trying to process all this stuff through a culture that's pretty broken, it's a whole situation, man. It's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's I've been looking at some of this stuff and just feeling really heavy, really heartbroken over certain things, and in some things it's like, you know, I've come so freaking far. I've come so far, and I'm dealing with shit literally 20, maybe 27 different life situations, and not exaggerating, not a figure of speech. Like, each one of these could potentially and would take most people out and down for the count. and out of the game permanently. And I'm dealing with them stacked consecutively, and maybe the only reason I'm even able to survive all of this is because of everything I went through in my freaking early life, my childhood, that I just took on, and my nervous system figured it out, how to deal with it, how to suppress it, how to numb it out temporarily as needed, just to survive. Maybe that's the only reason I'm alive through all of this stuff that's going on right now. But I'm, I'm really looking at my own part in some of these things, and even if it's like 80%, 90%, 95% other people and shit that they've done to me, there was in each one of them, in every situation, God was whispering to me and said, hey, here's the correct path over here. And I didn't do it. I didn't do it invariably. I didn't do it perfectly. And even if my part was small, it was critical. It was a fulcrum point. And with leverage, or thinking of like if you're a ship on the sea, when you turn the ship 1 degree, tiny little bit, and then you're going and going and going, and then you're on the sea for months, you can end up in a place that's 1,000 miles away from where you're supposed to be, just because that little 1% at that critical time, 11:22 on the clock. Confirmations are everywhere, doing synchronicities. It's just crazy. It's crazy, but I'm just like, I'm so used to doing my work and dealing with so many things that are just catastrophic and so freaking painful. And my daily life, like my body, dealing with like severe pain, like crippling pain for 15 years from Lyme, and just so many things, dude, so many things. I don't want to get into it. It's too much. It's too freaking much. And I'm looking, like the only option is for me to look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and continue to get those messages from God and the direction from God. And yeah, there was a few messages that came through from people whose opinion and whose intuition and connection to God I value more than, pretty much anything else in the world, anyone else in the world. And there were some messages, and then I didn't, and the ones that God gave me directly, I thought I could bend the rules a little bit, just a tiny little bit, nothing big, 1%, 2%. And here we are 6 months later, and I'm harvesting the fruit. I'm harvesting the fruit of those choices, and I'm so fucking disappointed with myself. In certain arenas. And I know, dude, I know it's like I can't beat myself up over this stuff, but when you have a high, like the highest calling on your life, God expects you to step into that, to step up to the plate and be there fully, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much support you have or don't have from the world. That's another really harsh lesson that I've learned in recent years and months. Those things, like those relationships and connections, especially on journey of recovery and stuff like that, those are critical. Those are crucial, man, but they're not always going to be there. And some people are going to come in and use and abuse those connections and play all kinds of freaking games through those avenues, if that's the only way they can get to us. It's just crazy, but yeah, it's been a heavy few days, I'm looking at this stuff. It's also, there's a lot of light and movement and love, so much love has been unlocked in my heart recently. That's just been trapped and buried for decades. But I'm having to look at some of the things, God was ready to dump some serious miracles into my life. And that's what I was saying earlier, my Jupiter that's in Cancer, my Jupiter return started in June, and then Cancer season in July, and then my birthday in August. All of these things were stacked up, and I was dealing with a completely fucking impossible situation, doing the best that I could, for the most part, but not following God's instructions to the T, to 100%. And who knows where things might be right now. I try not to get lost in the sauce and conjecture and project and do all that kind of stuff, man, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's hard. And it's absolutely necessary, if we want to make progress, and if you really want to walk with God at the highest fucking levels, dude, this is the work. This is the daily fucking work. And then we have seasons like this for me right now. It's different for everybody, but when you can dive a little bit deeper and really excavate some of that shit out and bring it up for healing, with God, and if you have people in your life that are part of your healing journey, that's really powerful too. And with all this, I got to remind myself, admit my mistakes, admit where I went wrong with God first, and then with anybody I've harmed. Clean that up as much as I can, but also in the bigger picture, God turns all things around for His good and His glory to those who love Him and are called according to His purposes. Everything. It doesn't say some things, most things, a lot of things, sometimes. God turns all things for the good of those who love Him and walk the path according to His purposes. So if you're following the 2 commandments that Yeshua taught, if you're following those 2 and asking God and continuing to seek, and staying on that path, it will work out. And for me, with everything that I've been through, it's good to remember, cool, I've been right 92% of the time, 95, 98%. I've done the exact perfect correct thing. I need to not focus on that little tiny percentage and beat the shit out of myself all the time. That's how I spent most of my life, and spent most of my life on death's doorstep, largely because of that internal voice, and the ones who taught me that, and the ones who put it there. I can't stay in those self-destructive loops. So that's not. There's no healing that happens there. And for me, for the path that I'm on, it's crucial for me to acknowledge those things because my life is a lot more of a fine-tooth comb most of the time these days. And so when God is trying to direct me to do things, to change things, to clean up a little thing here or there, or to turn my ship in 1 degree, a half a degree, a 0.1 degree direction or turn, I need to listen to that. Absolutely need to listen to that in those critical moments, because I don't know what He has planned and where things are going to go in 3 months or 6 months or 8 months or 12 months or 3 years or 10 years. And that 1 degree turn, if it's unaddressed 10 years out, I could be on a completely different planet from where God wants me and where God intended. And even right now with what I'm dealing with, I'm looking like, wow, 6 months, dude, just 6 months. A couple little tiny things that I could have changed and knew that I was supposed to change in those moments in June and July of last year and August and September, Virgo season, October, Libra season. I'm doing a lot of deep step work right now, and it should have been complete in November, October, November, before Scorpio, before the rebirth, death, judgment, rebirth, Scorpio, Sagittarius. There's also rebirth energy and fire energy and forward movement and Jupiter and expansion and all the luck that Jupiter is bringing into my life right now through Cancer, through the 12th house, through water, through the moon, through magic, through Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces in my life. Everything that Jupiter's trying to bring through right now, my own stupid fucking choices blocked a whole bunch of it, or altered it, or delayed it. The major things I'm hoping and praying is a delay. I'm seeing a lot of confirmations on that, praise God. But Jesus fucking Christ, man. We don't have to do this to ourselves. And we gotta be compassionate. It's a delicate balancing dance of holding ourselves to the highest fucking standard and doing the right thing over and over, no matter how hard it is, even if we have nobody around us, even if we've had years, even if we've had 47 fucking years of that in our life. Still trusting in God at the end of the day, faithfully. And some of this too is healing and clearing our childhood trauma, so that we can even hear God's voice again, so we can even hear our intuition again. A lot of these things are impossible until we're like on the healing journey, like, and have made some significant healing process already. And we got to give ourselves grace. Ultimately, we have to love ourselves and give ourselves grace as well, and first and foremost, which is hard to do if you never learned how to do that, if you never had parents that gave you that in appropriate and complete ways, or at all. If all you had was abuse, neglect, abandonment, betrayal, being thrown out on the streets when you were single digit, expected just to fucking figure it out, man, and then blamed for the wreckage from there on till whenever. Yeah, man, got to give ourselves grace and mercy. And I know for me, my calling is very fucking high, very, 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 very fucking high, and the impact that I'm here to make and supposed to be making is at another level, and I can't give myself excuses for why I did this and that, or why I didn't do anything that God fucking told me, whether it was directly through him into my heart or through another person who I know and love and trust completely, that I know is connected with him. When those people come into our lives, dude, treat it like the absolute fucking treasure that it is. Pro tip. So yeah, this Leo full moon, man, is beautiful and fucking intense. Fucking intense for me. Letting so much out, and it feels like another creation, another creative moment. Hawk. Two hawks. Oh lordy, look at that synchronicity. Love when Mama Gaia talks like this. Had a bunch of butterflies recently. Oh my god, they're gorgeous. Golden hawks. Pair of golden hawks. Ay, ay, ay. I don't even need to say it, but pray that synchronicity comes through for whoever needs to hear it. Whoever's hearing it. Whoever knows. They know. Yeah, it's been heavy, surprisingly intense, very internal. I was thinking about going out and doing all this stuff, and just very internal. A lot of prayer, a lot of writing, a lot of release, a lot of processing, a lot of love, a lot of holding myself, a lot of celebrating, really celebrating a couple people in my life. One in particular who's just stepping into her power and her path in a way that's so fucking magnificent. Fucking turn me into a fucking puddle of tears every time I even think about it this week. Watch it. It's a lot. It's a lot seeing people just stepping into their fucking power, dude. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm fucking here for it. It's literally what I'm fucking here for. To see that and facilitate that and witness that and help that along wherever I can, man. Jesus Christ. Turn my glasses all steamy on the inside. In that moment, was it really? Sometimes God sends us miracles in the most surprising and unexpected packages. I've had a bunch of them this year. A bunch. And and a bunch of these subtle little things in the midst of this process that God is like, hey, dude. It's just like, are you sure, God? Are you sure? Let me just do my own thing over here. And God's like, okay, all right, bro. So many of these impossible problems that I'm dealing with right now might be resolved. They might have been resolved if I had just altered that 1% in my course, you know? Tiny little thing, tiniest little details, insignificant seeming details. But you know, if God says something to you in your heart, it's important, even if it seems small, dude, because God can see. God can see across all timelines and all possible timelines where our human minds can't. Our soul can sense it. You know, if you get really good at tapping into your soul and healing and clearing damage and trauma from your life and your childhood, it gets easier and easier to hear that. Our soul and our higher self and our, you know, we exist at so many different levels, but the still small voice of God is always available. It's always available. Yeah, this few days it's been intense, man. It's been intense. I'm sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. It's 26. I have ADD and like so much stuff, and managing it, healing it as much as I can. But a lot of this stuff got massively sidetracked last year. Super duper healing season in 2024, and then almost lost my life at the end of the year, and then right back into it throughout 2025. And here we are, dude, just continuing to push forward. Yeah, the full moon and the harvest moon, so it affects all of us, but especially like look at your moon placements. For this last full moon, it was in Leo, so those of us that have significant Leo placements, that's going to be extra intense. And there's other things that can happen too, like conjoined planets and different things that can amplify the power of all these energies. You know, the recent new moon in Capricorn was big for me. The Capricorn energy is not a season that I generally like. I really like. I'm not like late Sag and into Capricorn and Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. It's not my jam, dude. It's not my jam. But this huge stellium in Capricorn and the new moon in Capricorn, another batch of big lessons, man. I felt like Saturn himself just rolled over me and fucking undid. I just felt like my guts were on the sidewalk, man, the past couple of weeks. Some of these lessons, because I'm looking at this, because Saturn is in Pisces and closing out, and Neptune's in Pisces closing out, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, but Saturn was the traditional ruler of Pisces. Just like Pluto and Mars are both like major for Scorpio, the god of war, planet of fire, also the ruler of Aries, and Pluto, the god of death and rebirth, the phoenix. Like all these things are huge for Scorpios. Astrology is so powerful when you start getting into it. But this huge stellium in Capricorn made me look at a lot of the same stuff that's up for me right now. It's like, what have you done in this cycle, Aaron? What have you done and what have you left undone? When were you listening to God and when were you just on autopilot again? You know, I gotta give myself credit, and it's like, yeah, I'm healing, yeah, I'm doing all this impossible shit, but 98% out of 100 doesn't cut it when you're building a new fucking earth. When you've got millions of lives to help and heal and to save, like 2% of that, 10% of that, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions potentially, and the whole web of people that those potential people that are lost now could have saved and touched and moved with the power of love and the web of connection of God's love and light on this earth. Everyone counts, man. Every single one counts. Like that story of the kid throwing the starfish back into the ocean. His dad's like, what are you doing? There's too many. Doesn't matter. And the kid is like, it matters to that one. Matters to that one. Matters to that one. It's like when you're doing this work for God, everything matters. Every detail. And we're not going to be perfect all the time. We need grace as well. We need grace and love. And that's where community and connection and relationships and family so often comes in. Cancer themes, moon, water themes, Pisces themes, unconditional love. Those matter a lot. As humans, like, we're built for connection. We can go for long stretches of time without it. Some of us much longer than others, but at the end of the day, our nervous system can't do that indefinitely. We're not made to. Evolution didn't design us to do everything on our own forever and ever and ever. It only leads to disease and despair and ultimate destruction at the end of the day. Love and having solid people around us and being able to process things and move through things together in safe containers, that's what we're designed for. We're not designed for families that betray us, for families that backstab us, literally, figuratively, financially, spiritually, emotionally, ethically, morally, legally. We're not designed to be around people like that forever and ever. And even as children, if we grew up with that and we had to figure out how to survive it, really our nervous system, that's why so many of us develop complex and standard variety PTSD. Our nervous system is not built to handle any of that when we're a kid, and maybe like one or two of those across our entire life once we're adults, if we have a completely healthy and stable upbringing, or overall healthy, with the right kinds of like connections and food and not having like major diseases and disasters and stuff like that. Those things are part of life on Earth, which is why our nervous system can handle them at all. But we can't handle it constantly, dude, and not day after day after day from our own family. That's just not, that's not how we're designed. But here we are, fucking chain breakers, the generation coming to undo so many of these curses in our family and in society and in the world. Now we know how to do it because we've walked through it. We walked through it and we fucking won. But we gotta stay mindful. We gotta stay mindful of these things and of our evolution and continued progress. And the further along we get, like where I'm at right now, yeah, it's more of a fine-tooth comb, but it's more for the other people that are involved in the work that I'm doing. Like, not being completely on point can be exponentially more damaging to them, for the people that are like under our care and so on, and that's what's really been killing me this recent season. And with Uranus and Taurus, and situation with my child and my Chiron in Taurus, and all the things that I'm healing and moving through, and that now my daughter is being required to. It's there in her chart as well, but I was just reminded again the other day about Uranus, and I was looking at that, and this 8-year cycle with Uranus and Taurus connected to Earth, stability, foundations, love, safety, security, stability, parents, etc. Venus themes, second house themes, Taurus themes. Also Capricorn and Virgo themes to an extent, but especially in the second house. And especially with Taurus. Just like kicking myself, man, and kicking myself. So I can see exactly where it happened, like on the dot, when Uranus went into Taurus in 2018. I've seen exactly where my fucking failure at that point led into so much of this. So much of everything that we are now dealing with because of my fucking choices and my failures. And a lot of that, like all this Capricorn stuff, all the stellium planets in Capricorn on the last new moon, and what am I planting for this upcoming cycle, dude? Where it's going to be harvested in Leo season. And the next new moon in Leo will be in August, also in Leo season. And we have another opportunity to plant right there. Praise God, man. It's like, what am I planting? What did I harvest? I forgot that I'm even fucking doing this work sometimes. I'm just in so much fucking pain. physical, spiritual, you know. It's all the themes. But yeah, looking at the messages I was getting from God in June and July last year, August of last year, that I'm harvesting right now. I'm seeing the results of them. Not much to harvest. Not much to harvest, you know. And I'm still like, yeah, cool. I'm still at 90. You know, 92%, 95% operating. You know, making the right choices. And it's good to focus on that too. Just be like, dude, you're doing it. Keep getting up. Keep doing it. Keep going. You're good. But like, listen to those subtle messages. Listen to the little things. The further along we get, the more important it is to do that, you know? And I think especially in this season that we're all in right now, it's, you know, having all of our stuff in order and having all our shit all together and ready to go is extra critical when we're dealing with such chaos and like catastrophic upheavals in the world at large, which astrology can clue us into and has in this season. It's like, all this stuff is coming. 2024, 5, 6, all this stuff is coming. What are you going to do? Are you going to be ready for it? Are you going to be ready for it? And if we're not keeping our house clean and dealing with those tiny little details, man, we're not going to be. We're not going to be. We're not completely, not at the level that we need to be, not the level that God wants us to be and is telling us through those subtle messages. Anyhow, I'm seeing so much green, dude. I'm looking at the camera and it's all brown and shit. Had a nice little rainy kind of nourishing rains in November and December. I guess it was mainly in December. Had some good rains, a little bit in November. I like this. I like this time. I wish I had a couple sheep or goats to come and chomp on all this grass. One of the neighbors is out here weed whacking everything. You know, it's like city property out here. Goats especially would love this over here. These are the native California. I think they're a white oak. I'm not 100% sure on those. Some of the stuff down here in California, you know, a lot of the plants are the same up and down the West Coast. Because I learned in Oregon where I went to school at, but the oak trees, goats love that shit. Pigs love it too. Oh, it's Grumpy Daddy. Grumpy Daddy. Mirabai's got a couple friends. She likes to play in this. Run back and forth across this yard over here. Yeah, it's a shame that we're so far away from the natural systems, man, because, like, you know, you could have a bunch of goats and sheep out here on this hillside mowing everything down, turning all the solar energy and plant energy into animal energy. Putting it back into the cycle. Instead, people coming out here just burning up gasoline with weed whackers and drying out the hillside even more, burning everything down. Or, you know, it's double-sided. You know, you got a clear brush to keep the fire hazard down, but at the same time, like when you do this kind of stuff, it's like, grass is like 18 inches to 2 feet high, and then people using these weed whippers and getting it down to like bare dirt. You know, that affects the water cycle in the soil big time, especially on a kind of southeast facing slopes right here. So this stuff is in the heat of the day, the worst of the heat of the sun. So all the stuff's just getting dried out and cooked faster. And water is dang precious down here in Cali. Humans, man, humans are so silly. Our cultures, our society, our belief systems. You know, we developed them. It's part of the higher functioning of humans, which is really, really cool. They came about for survival and expansion and creating new territory, and then agriculture and everything that went along with that. But so many of them become so toxic and destructive to the earth and to life and to ourselves and to our own families if they're left unchecked. If we have intelligence without wisdom, or if we have neither, and people just running on autopilot on their belief systems, which is, you know, the majority of humanity. They go to school, they learn how not to think and how to sit down and shut up and be in a box and do what you're told. Do what you're told. Which is what most people will do, even in... What's up, girlie? Even, hey, there's your friend. There's your friend. There's your friend. You can go say hi. No, you gotta say hi? Your friend is out there. Girlie. Is it girl? And those studies, not B.F. Skinner, but later, you know, after World War II, they did those studies where, you know, most people, is like 85% of people, whoever claims authority and says, I'm in charge, I'm a doctor, I have a medical coat on, or a police badge on, or I'm a politician or a lawyer, or whatever the case may be, most people are going to follow the directives without question. Even if something inside them tells them it's not right. Which is how we got Nazi Germany, which is how we got, and it's not even a political thing, but like what we're dealing with here in the United States, man, is scary, because the left and the right will both do it. They'll, even though they claim to serve different masters, the same handful of individuals and companies own both parties at this point. So it's not really, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, that study is like, people will go, they were trying to see how far people would go, like applying electric shocks in the name of science. And most people would do it even to the point where it's like they could hear the other person. The other person was an actor. They weren't actually shocking the person, but the person was acting like they were receiving electric shocks. And even when they started like frothing at the mouth and potentially like passing out or dying, most people continued giving the shocks because the doctor was right there and said, it's very important, it's in the name of science. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And humans, you know, I'm talking about the masses, humans haven't evolved in 80 years. Beyond that, we're only 80 years past World War II, man. And 0 years past the exact same thing happening all around the world. Wars without cease, genocide without fucking cease. Over religion and fucking nonsense and whatever. Most people operate on autopilot on their freaking belief systems. And they don't even know that they have them. Like fish in water, people don't even know that they have a belief system. They think that whatever they perceive with their senses, which is like 0.01% of reality, and then whatever this chatterbox in their head that's just like constantly non-stop, that's barely connected to reality, they think that that is an accurate representation and the totality of reality. That little voice, that little chattering monkey inside their head. That's scary. Most people don't even know that they have a fucking belief system. But they will defend it to the death. And they will destroy and murder other people with something that seems like a different belief system. And neither one of them are right in any meaningful way. These things that developed over freaking years, decades, centuries, thousands of years. On autopilot, without reason, without the balancing power of reason and science and God and love in so many cases. Where was I going before that, man? I kind of went off into left field. Sorry about that. But it is what it is, man. All this stuff is connected. All these problems that we're managing, dealing with individually, that we picked up because of our family, because of society, because of all these systems that are broken, that we've been told just sit down, shut up, do whatever they say, because they're God and you don't have any authority, you don't have sovereignty. You just need to deal with it. No matter how bad it screws us up, or our families, or society, or the earth. That is, the earth will outlast us, the earth will survive, but she's sick, dude. She's sick. And so many critical functions and ecosystems have been damaged, and many of them probably beyond repair. A lot of the Middle East used to be lush freaking forests. before it was all cut down and turned into ships and tools and sunk to the bottom of the sea and oceans around the world. And burned in fucking warfare, endless fucking warfare that humans can't seem to get over. Which does absolutely nothing. Nobody wants it except the psychopaths at the top that are deciding these things. Nobody wants it. And here we are, the beginning of the next big one. And are we powerless to stop it? Like, what's... It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. It's crazy, and it's always the innocent people, civilians, women, children, men. It's always the civilians that pay the highest toll, exponentially. I'm just realizing, like, you gonna fetch it? You don't get it? It's another little video I made like a week ago that I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna post it or not, and if I need to edit some of it out. Because it's pretty ranty and it gets a little political, but it just dealing with like Lyme disease and all this stuff that I've been going through for so long. Hey, nah, calm. As a friend, we're not gonna be friends if you're gonna act like that. Well, oh, you want the stick? Is that it? I can't throw a stick in your yard, honey bun. You got a fence right there. I'll ask your parents sometime. We can hang out. It's a lot, man. I know I get sidetracked off in the politics a lot, but it's like, cool, well, yeah, we're all looking at life or death and possible, like, nuclear erasure of humanity and life on Earth, you know, if the States gets into it, like, really bad right now. It's not a good situation that we're in. Because, so let's tie it back in. Let's tie it back in here. Why are we in this place? Because the people in power, who oftentimes are, you know, would be diagnosed as sociopaths or psychopaths, if they ever went in for it, and answered honestly, which they don't, which is the definition of a psychopath, narc, BPD, all the things. They don't and they can't. They're pathological liars. That's why they get away with shit for so long, so much of the time. The ones of us that are healing, the ones of us that are doing this work that is so necessary for humans to evolve and for society to evolve, we don't tend to seek positions of power. Definitely not power in the terms of dominance over other people. Leadership sometimes when it's a natural thing, but people that care and people that love don't want power over others. We want to create, we want to do our freaking thing, you know? The ones that really need to do this work, the psychopaths and sociopaths in charge of this world that bring us down into freaking war after war after war, or build these giant businesses that are so destructive to everything good on Earth, eventually. You know, they often serve a good purpose early on, but these people who are the destroyers, the ones that actually need to be doing the work, they're not ever doing the fucking work. And that's how we keep ending up in these bigger cycles, like with humanity and life on Earth on the brink of freaking destruction again, collapse. So again, for those of us on the healing journey, happy new moon in Leo. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. You know, I'm processing all my own things and world things and trying to figure out how to get my ass and others to safety right now. dealing with impossible situations in broken systems nonstop, man. But keep doing the work. Stay strong. Pray. Ask God for help, dude. God loves us ultimately, and even though things can seem dire right now, again, it's really good to zoom out. It's good to zoom out and look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. Remember, the Earth is just a tiny little speck. I love doing this. One of my favorite things. There's a couple videos a few years back, like on Facebook and other places, where it's like showing the size of the planets. And another one where it's like zooming out from the solar system, but it shows the moon. It's like the smallest planet. So it's like, I think it's like the moon, and then Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth, and each one is showing it's like geometrically bigger, but then exponentially bigger when you start getting into like Saturn and Jupiter, and then the sun. Even I think Jupiter is the biggest planet, but then it goes from Jupiter to the sun, and it's like this little tiny speck, tiny little marble, and that's just our solar system, man, which isn't really big, relatively speaking. You know, even in the local galaxies, there's shit that just dwarfs our system. So not to bypass or not to like escape or anything like that, but it's just like these events on planet Earth, like this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And whatever's gonna happen as far as war and politics and all this stuff, you know, I'm not a believer in, well, you can't do anything to change it, so just don't even fucking think about it, don't talk about it. That exact attitude is why we're here right now. Because so many people fucking pulling that attitude and not doing anything about it when we could, especially collectively. And that's part of the frustration, part of the stress. And when you're dealing with PTSD and complex PTSD, adding stress, more and more stress to the mix ain't good. But when it's like survival, like what the fuck are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Just keep going, keep praying. Zoom out. Remember events on Earth, life on Earth in the past, all the freaking wars, all the things. No, I don't want to see my family or my children like die in this mix. I don't really want to die anytime soon. You know, I'm only 47, and I never thought I would see 30, honestly. But it's like now it's like I feel like I'm just in the warm-up phase. Get a little bit of resources, get some healing from this Lyme, have some downtime, have a little vacation, and get back up and running again, man. The shit that I need is like so minor, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how freaking messed up this world is, and society is, and the solutions are so simple and inexpensive for the most part. Most of them are very inexpensive. We could have heaven on Earth. We could have heaven on Earth. It's not a pipe dream. You're not going to fetch it if I throw it. You're going to just leave it down there. Right? Or are you going to get it? You going to fetch it? Fast, dude. Lightning. 5333. Oh, she's going to bring it back. Look at that. Look at that. All right. You're good, dingo. You're good, dingo. That's a good girl, nice and calm. We like that. I know you probably want to wrestle, huh? You like wrestling the sticks? Little girl, little cutie. Yeah, she wants to wrestle. They usually run back and forth along the fence right here. It's fun. And Mirabai doesn't generally like girl dogs as much. Smaller one she does, but I've had her for about a year, a little over a year, and I don't know how long. She's a blue heeler mix, which is a really cool breed. I'll always have healers after my first one. Hey, calm. She can't give you the stick because you're inside the fence. You're inside the fence, girl. Pretty girl, you pretty mama, huh? I can't do the stick in the fence. Okay, that's the rules. fetching for a long time. Where was I rambling at most recently? It's a crazy world, man. It's crazy times we're living in. Everything's connected. Everything's connected. 5515 through the stars. Hey, let's be calm, please. We don't need no barking, girlie. We don't need no barking. That's not how we do friends. Go chill. Chilly. She's not gonna bring this stick in there. That's my stick. That's mine. Man, I was gonna keep this one at like 20 minutes as well. I was like so close. I could have turned it off. Here we are, 50. 55, 44. 55, 45, 45 is my number. I love it. Everything's connected, man. The astrology gives us a heads up. God gives us a heads up. Oh yeah, if shit gets to be too much, man. One of my favorite practices is just zooming out. Like remembering not only on timelines, and you know, everything will pass eventually. Not to bypass, but just if you're overwhelmed and like just sunk into the stress of it, man, just zoom out a little bit. Zoom out outside the planet. Look at all the planets, look at the sun, look at the solar system. We're just little tiny specks. And yeah, God loves us absolutely and unconditionally, but the stress can be too much, and especially if you're just one person bearing all of it alone plus your own stuff, dude, it can be way too much. Zooming out practices. One of my favorite practices, like earthing. Earthing is really good. I'm doing right now. Bare feet on the ground. Let the ions go down, but envisioning what would you call it? Like an energetic root coming down from your body down into the core of the earth, the molten core, like lava, metal, liquid rock. Mama Gaia is no joke, dude. Everyone's like, oh, nature is so soft and fuzzy and all this stuff, dude. The earth is almost completely like molten fire, like liquid rock and metal in the middle. There's a lot of everything here, but just imagining like a root line of energy going down into the core, and like if you need to get rid of negative stuff, just pushing all that stuff down, or just imagining like roots coming out of your feet into the earth, into the soil, and letting all that stuff go down through. Oh God, it's that hawk again, man. It's huge. Just imagining all that negative energy, all those ions going down, all the thoughts, all the belief system. And Mama Gaia is infinite, dude. She can and does take all that stuff and recycle it into life through the soil or down into the core when it's heavier stuff, and you can pull energy up from that same thing as well. Pull energy up, pull nourishment up. And drink from the mother. She's good. She provides. And same thing going in the other direction, from the sun, or you know, whatever belief you have in God or your higher power. You can bring that energy down through pure light, through your head, through your crown chakra, through your third eye, through your mouth, through your throat, whatever, like wherever you need that energy, like just ask God. I love doing it in the sunlight directly, especially first thing in the morning, bringing in those light photons when it's not super intense. It's getting up there now. There's so many good things. If you have good people in your life, good connections, just spending time together, processing, releasing, talking about things. That's always been one of the key things for humans. It's been disrupted for so many of us. But those people are still out. Those people are still out there, out here. People still exist that are good, that want good for others, and nothing but good for others. White butterfly, right when I was saying that. That was a synchronicity too. I'll have to tell you about another time. Right in this same spot too. Full moon in Leo. Plus 40-minute ramble. Ramble. 59, dude. I love the numbers, dude. There's so many systems that God shares with us and God shows to us that can make the journey a lot smoother and easier, or possible. If we slow down and listen and keep healing, keep cleaning house, keep letting go of all the old shit, keep doing our work. It's like the bird song, man. It's so fruggin', so fruggin' healing. But if I'm in my freaking stress and just going, like, it's so easy to miss that. We miss that stuff when we're just in our mind and in stress, and especially in cities a lot of times. It's the stuff that is so easy, so important from God, from healing. Gotta get out there and get it. Gotta just do it. Gotta do it, man. I'm gonna go. Keep healing, guys. Dude, if you're having a rough time, you're not the only fucking one. Reach out if you need help, if you need prayers. I'm still working on my other site. I know I have a link to my beacons in my bio. I haven't touched it for a couple years because shit that I've been dealing with, but I'm gonna update that and make it a little easier to connect via email, or to request appointments and stuff like that for, like, coaching, recovery, astrology, whatever. Got a lot of stuff coming. Anyways, love you guys. Happy February. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say, I should have just done this. Maybe I'll edit it. I don't know. With the full moon in Leo and all the stuff that's being processed and released and changed right now, and especially with the season, like Saturn and Neptune are leaving a long season in Pisces. So we have 2 more weeks. This also coincides with the end of the wood snake. Wood is the element it's connected to the lungs in Chinese medicine, in the Chinese system, which are connected to grief and to the heart and to breath and so many things. Which is another part of why this past year has been so intense for so many of us. We're clearing out, like, grief and things that were suppressed sometimes for decades, sometimes our whole freaking lives. That stuff has been coming out, and I know for me, like, a bunch of that stuff has just come out in the last month and a half at another level. And there's more healing to do, but these next couple weeks, Saturn is going to be leaving Pisces. So look up Pisces and look up 12th house and look it up in your chart if you know how to, or just look it up generically. We have 2 more 2 more weeks with Pisces, with grief, with water, with Saturn and Neptune, which are both Pisces planets, and Father Time, which is a major cycle. Saturn is also connected with Capricorn. Father Time, dude. keep working through your stuff these next couple of weeks, man. We got another window where the energies around us are going to be facilitating, everything that's going on and everything that we're doing already. For the next few weeks, and it's going to be Fire Horse, and all these planets are going into Aries. So fire, war, movement, energy, creation. The Fire Horse year is going to have a lot of these things too. So it's nice. It's nice if you've been feeling stuck and stagnant, dude, but it can also be really intense. And it can be really hard if you haven't done this work of healing and releasing big time this year, or just, like, more generally. So yeah, I encourage all of you to, like, keep using these next few weeks to whatever. If you got anything big on your list yet that needs to be let go of, especially anything you need help with, contact what help you can get, and process and freaking release this stuff. And if it's just God, God will help you out. God will do that. The angels will do that. It's gonna be a solar eclipse in Aquarius, which is the sign of revolution, ruled by Uranus. It's all about the people, democracy, freedom, sovereignty, intelligence, technology. Aquarius rules so many things, and Pluto's in Aquarius right now for the next 40 years, I think, or 20 years or something. But last time the planets were at the places where they were right now, we had the Civil War 165 years ago, and the Revolutionary War. It's just big times we're in, man. This stuff is no joke. This stuff is no freaking joke. Anyways, I love you guys. I love you, Soul Fam. It's a powerful time to be connecting, and like God seems to do so much of the time, it's just in the nick of time. God's got a sense of humor. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure.